Sing a little something, Jesse.
Good morning. Good morning.
That's copyrighted.
Oh, no.
Can you do that tune, but with the words amateur cast? Or maybe like
I
That's
like
a good
it.
question.
movies. We talk about
Amateur.
movies.
Amateur. I hate myself.
Just something that's on theme.
Seb, if I hear you self-deprecate once, it's over. I leave. Okay.
I hate myself.
Do you actually want me to sing? Because I can. I don't know what to sing.
That's what we hired you for.
Oh.
Yeah. That's why you're here.
Where's my paycheck? Okay.
Must have got lost in the mail.
It won't be here unless you sing.
I'm keeping all of this in.
Can we just move on from the singing portion? Because it's not gonna. Now
No, we
I
need a
feel
theme
pressure,
song.
and I can't. Well, I don't. It doesn't work like that, Kolby.
This is your whole thing. This is your skill. You have a degree in this.
Wow, way to play the shame card. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm also not enough for my mother, so that's cool.
Personal issues.
Yeah, anyway.
Oh, no.
So, are we gonna move on from the singing thing, or is that gonna kind of... We're not
Alright,
gonna
Seb,
move on
you're going to
until
have to
it
do the
happens?
theme song then. With your beautiful
I got this. Ready?
voice. Go.
Amateur. Oh, my God. I hate myself.
Seb!
Amateur cast. Welcome to Amateur cast. This is our show. Amateur cast. Hi, this is our show.
That was good.
Hey, everybody.
That was
Welcome
good.
to Amateur Cast, the show where we
thanks,
pretend to
Seb.
know what we're talking about. My name is Sebastian Limon. I am joined with Kolby Leapies.
I'm not going to say.
And Jessica Harms.
Whoa, she introduced herself.
Oh.
That was badass.
Sorry. Everybody, just erase the last 5 seconds of your
Okay.
memory.
Who are you?
Hi.
Why are you in my room? How'd you get in
Hey.
here?
Hi. My name is Jessica Nicole Harms. My social security.
Good.
Okay.
Oh, keep going.
So, hi everybody. My name is Jessica. You may call me Jess. As
They can't call you
tuning
anything.
in.
This is a recording.
Okay. In your mind, refer to me as Jess. Hi everybody. I know these two fools from high school, actually. I am a California native. I took a couple years off from my Cali girl aesthetic and hopped on over to Texas and got my BFA in musical theater. I graduated in May of this year. And now I live with my parents. Let's give a round of applause for that one.
Woo!
And
Parents.
I'm currently saving money to move over to New York. I figured I've covered the West Coast, I've covered the South, but the East Coast, they're not ready yet. So I will be moving to New York and pursuing musical theater. So I'm really, really excited to be here and talk with you guys about movie musicals, something that I am passionate about. I was raised on them. It's actually my
She
one life goal
embodies
to be
musicals.
here. Yeah.
Not even kidding.
Thank you. That was it.
Yep. Bye.
That was it. Thanks, guys.
It's a great episode. Next week we'll be talking about Alex Papke. Remember her? Poor girl.
Callback. But yeah,
No.
hello everybody. We're talking about our favorite movie musicals today because we're
Yes.
reviewing the newest movie musical, In the Heights, and that is why we sang for you. Also
Woo!
because we don't have a theme song right now because we're working on a new one. So look forward to that. In the meantime, you will be simply enjoying the a cappella stylings of Sebastian Limon.
Yes. Not for free.
Never for free.
Never for free.
Well, we
Especially.
can tell who didn't get a BFA in musical theater, am I right?
Okay, I'm just
Whoa!
gonna leave. Okay.
You can't
This is a
leave.
pretty
You're
aggressive
contracted.
episode so far.
Well, you know me. It's in the last name.
It is in the last name.
Speaking of musical theater, Jesse.
Yeah.
What is your favorite?
My
Tell
favorite
us.
movie musical of all time is, drumroll please, and I won't sing it because it's copyrighted, but Oklahoma!
Yay.
Oh,
Yeehaw! Yeehaw!
Oklahoma is probably my favorite movie musical, and I will tell you why. Growing up, my dad loved to show us, like, classic movies in general. That's definitely like his favorite thing. He loves movie musicals. Seven Brides for Seven Brothers and Oklahoma are two that I remember the most that we always watched. And Oklahoma is my dad's favorite, and I grew up with him singing it around the house. It's definitely one of the probably top 3 musicals that like got me into theater and made me want to pursue it. So it has a lot of sentimental value, but I also just think it's lots of fun. It's got classic music and dancing and, you know, references to suicide. So it's just, yeah, just gives me like warm feelings inside.
Nothing like suicide to warm me up. Did you watch it, Kolby?
I didn't. I've seen the stage production multiple times, but I have not seen the movie.
We seen some of it. From what I've seen, I like it.
Wow.
It's good.
You guys are great.
I know.
Film
I'm so
majors, am I
sorry.
right?
Oh,
Woohoo!
slackers. I think it's got the classic vibes of, you know, 50s era movie musical. There's no exciting and, intriguing cinematography. It's one of those, okay, this is something interesting I guess I can talk about. So, something I learned about a lot in school was the progression of musical theater and how it used to drive society so heavily. So obviously before film, what do we have? We had the theater. And it used to be, at one point in time, it was the biggest form of entertainment in the world. And it obviously we know like Shakespeare era, like he shaped vocabulary, he shaped social trends. We still use some of the words that he invented to this day in phrases.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting because society used to revolve so much around going to the theater and so much around that culture. So movie musicals from like the 50s are really interesting because at the time they were just as big as any other form of entertainment. As we know now in our culture, theater's kind of taken a back seat in a lot of ways. I actually think in recent years, which is really cool, it's coming back. And it's definitely being revered more, if that's the right word. I know words. And it's definitely more well respected, and people are finding it entertaining again, which is very exciting for me because job security. But I also just find it interesting that watching classical musicals is so different because we know a lot of the actors in these movies are contracted with the film companies, and they would pop out these musicals so often. And we don't see stuff like that anymore. Obviously, like actors don't have contracts necessarily with like one film company, and they aren't like required to do X amount of movies a year. But it's so interesting that that was where the money was. But nowadays, that's not necessarily the case. Like, unless you're doing a giant movie musical with tons of money and budget and all-star cast, like In the Heights, it's not gonna necessarily be successful. So it's just interesting to see the ways that both theater and film have evolved through the years in reference to culture.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, musicals had a big drought for like several decades in film, and
Absolutely,
they've made a slight comeback in the last couple years since like La La Land,
definitely.
which we've already talked about in another episode 4. Shout out, go watch that. Also a bit in episode 1, but yeah, like we've had a slight comeback. Like we had Greatest Showman, and we have this In the Heights and some others, but yeah,
and there's many coming too. There's like huge list
ton this year
of upcoming movie musicals. Yeah,
there's like 3 Lin-Manuel Miranda movie musicals this year.
Yeah. People can't seem to get enough of him.
I can. That was mean.
I can.
No, I say that as like people can't seem to get enough of him, which is interesting.
I do think he's very talented, but there's
incredibly talented. It's funny. I actually just read an article called, the title was something along the lines of how did Lin-Manuel Miranda go from a musical genius to like a chuggy millennial. And I don't know if you're familiar with the term chuggy, but
I am.
It's essentially means like passe, like socially unaccepted.
Well,
Not
he's kind of a meme
popular.
now.
He is.
Yeah.
Like the same people that were
Um.
absolutely worshiping him for Hamilton like 3 years ago, or I guess like 5 years ago
Mhm.
now or whatever, are like making fun of him on TikTok now.
Yeah. No, it's truly it's incredible to see his demise, I guess. But I
His
mean,
demise.
the man is still
His
making
fall.
stacks, so he's doing fine. But it's just interesting to see the
Yeah.
way that society has embraced him and then let him go.
I think part of it is how Disney-fied he's become. Like he used to be kind of really, I don't know, he used to feel more rebellious. Like he was the guy that took like American history and then like rewrote it with like rap
Hmm.
and like
But yeah,
Mhm.
it was
rap
kind
has a
of,
sense of rebellion too.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of like, I don't know. I feel like when Hamilton came out, it felt sort of like this feels weird in hindsight because now it's so mainstream, but I feel like it was a little bit like anti establishment sort of. It was kind of just like, we're gonna like take
Hmm.
American history and like make it cool. And now he's just like had this deal with Disney for the last couple of years where he's in all these Disney movies and he's like doing all these like kind of generic film scores. And he's on
Yeah.
like the social medias and the TikToks, and Hamilton's become a lot more like mainstream. And yeah, I feel like he's just kind of lost his edge.
He needs to stop signing his tweets. LMM. Like it.
Yeah, that's so
I
lame.
don't think anything is more cringy than a celebrity signing their tweets. Like, honey, we know it's you. Like, nobody's tweeting for you. Like, chill.
Didn't he release a book of his tweets?
Doesn't Tom Hanks do that?
Okay, Tom Hanks is an exception, but so
Right, right.
Lin-Manuel Miranda, it's like he does act like he's bigger than he is. People love what he produces, but I feel like he's more revered for his art than like him as an artist. And
Yeah.
he kind of acts like he is the moment. I mean, obviously he casts himself in all of his musicals, which is a whole other conversation. But
And in all of his musicals, he talks about how hot he is, which is really funny.
yeah, I think it's like his art is so incredible. And in some ways, I actually really respect that, like, okay, as an artist who wants to be on Broadway, like, bro was never going to make it on his own. So he said, screw that, I'm going to write myself into it, which I
Yeah.
respect. I hella
Yeah, that's
respect that.
awesome.
However, it's pretty cringy. Like, the novelty kind of wore off and everyone's like, okay, you're still writing yourself into these
Hmm.
musicals and now these
Mm.
movies.
And he's
So
just not a
it's odd.
great singer.
Not at
No.
all. And it's so funny because
No.
high school Jesse would have been like offended by that comment because I so embodied a
Oh,
theater
I
kid in a lot
remember
of
that.
ways, and I so was diehard for anything relatively on the spectrum of Broadway culture or whatever you
Hmm.
want to call it. And so I remember literally defending his voice, and now that I've gotten older and matured a little bit, I can admit that the man cannot sing very well.
I will say that I
Are you
think
okay?
both of his major musicals, In the Heights and Hamilton, are like well written enough, and the
Hmm.
music in them is well written enough that his voice never like bothers me and gets in the way of me enjoying them.
Right.
True. That's a great way of putting it. But I saw someone word it this way. Imagine Hamilton, but Hamilton is an actual like suave, attractive, young, like strong tenor. And I was like, oh, that's a great way of putting it. Huh. Probably would have been a little bit more likable of a character and more realistic. Like all the ladies like swoon over him in that show, and it just
Mm,
doesn't
Mm.
read as well as I think he thought it would.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
So
you're right.
we've slandered the man enough.
Yeah, now let's slander his new film.
And a slanderous movie.
I'm just kidding. I don't
Hurrah.
know how you guys feel about it at all. Seb, you literally
Yeah.
just came, like literally 20 minutes ago, came from the theater seeing it.
The credits are rolling as we speak. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, so this is my fault. I'm the dum dum that thought it was still on HBO Max, and I tried to watch it yesterday, thinking, you know what, I got this. I'm good. It's not on HBO Max. Warner Brothers decided to take it out, screw
I
me
didn't know
over.
that.
So I watched it literally 7:30 ish. Just got out not that long ago. When did you guys see it? You guys saw it a while ago, I'm
I
guessing.
saw it when it came out. I don't think it was opening weekend. I think it was the second weekend, but I saw it in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Alex saw it, I want to say 3 weeks ago,
Yeah, what do we think? Jesse, go for it.
since I am the resident expert. No, joking. I
Correct.
personally loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I think, can you refresh my memory? What's the director's name?
John M. Chu.
John M. Chu.
John N. True?
M, like the
M.
initial M.
Chu.
Chu.
You can call him that.
John M. True.
Chu.
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 Who?
A Chu.
I can't hear you guys well, apparently.
Like Chu.
John M. Achu?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yes.
call him John. I'm gonna call him John. Mr. John, I believe that. I feel like I'm disrespecting him by not pronouncing his name, but I genuinely can't hear you, so we're just gonna move on from it. So John, I think that he needs to direct every movie musical from here on out. And I know I guess that's like a little bit of an intense statement, but this is the first movie musical, at least like recent movie musical that I've seen that actually like had beautiful cinematography and everything was well thought out and it wasn't plastered up there and it didn't rely on the music to drive the plot, which I know part of that is good writing. Like the musical is well written and I think this is one of Lynn's like best works. But it didn't, like, okay, if we look back in contrast to Oklahoma, like there's very few, excuse my limited film terminology. I am not a film major like you both, but there's not many shots in those films from the 50s, like, and that's kind of the point, is they literally took it from stage, threw together some sets, and filmed it. Whereas
Yeah, because the way that they would film it, it's kind of just like
exactly,
present it.
exactly, and I think the hardest part, at least in my assumption, of turning a musical into a movie is that seamless transition from stage to film, and that's usually poorly done. It's really difficult to take a stage production and find genius ways and seamless and beautiful ways to, because you can't black out in a movie, you can't close the curtain, there's no intermission. But I think this flowed so nicely. It was a what? How long is the movie? Like
2.5 hours.
4 hours.
2.5. I genuinely, it went by very fast for me. I was like, oh, what was that, like an hour and a half? Because it was very seamless. It wasn't drawn out, and obviously, as much as I love musicals, I am not dumb to the fact that they can drag on, and there's maybe one too many songs in a couple of them, and but the music they selected, they did actually omit a couple songs, but they selected songs that weren't exposition, I guess, is that the right word to use? They didn't choose the song, or they hand selected songs that were going to translate well on film, and I just think that they did a really good job with that.
That's fair.
That was my statement. You can comment now.
I like it. Kolby, go for it.
My thoughts on it were pretty complicated. I really liked it and respected its craft. Like, I thought it was very technically well done. Like you said, I thought John M. Chu did a great job as a director, and I look forward to seeing what he does.
Okay, now I get it. Keep going.
I look forward to seeing what he does next. I thought the casting was good. Like, most of what was on screen was good. I had a lot of issues with the adaptation of the screenplay, and I'll be honest with the fact that, like, I think if I wasn't familiar at all with the original Lin-Manuel Miranda version, the original stage musical, I probably would have liked this more. But I'm personally very attached to the original. It's one of, if not my favorite musicals.
Oh, see, this was my first experience. Interesting. Okay.
That's what I was looking forward to asking you guys, because the three of us kind of run the whole spectrum. Like, Jess, you're very much a theater person. You're very knowledgeable about theater. Sebastian, you're very much a film person. You're very
Thank you
knowledgeable
for
about
not
film.
saying theater kid. I feel
You're an adult.
restricted in this
You're older
moment.
than I am. I'm not going to call you a kid.
You're 21. Don't worry about it.
You're a theater geezer. But
Oh no.
I wanted to ask, like, how familiar you guys are with the original and how you were comparing it to the movie, or if you weren't at all.
I've heard of it. I knew it existed, but I've never heard any of the songs, what the story was about. So I think we all have different
Totally different
perspectives.
Yeah.
And reactions.
Yeah.
Because for me, I'm also like complicated on the movie. But what Kolby likes about it is what I don't like about it. I like the story aspect and the music. I don't like it technically at all. I think John M. Chu is a really bad director. I think he sucks.
Wow, he literally has
And
vastly different opinions.
He's the worst. I hate him. He makes nothing but garbage, and it's just manufactured factory blah.
I forgot.
And what stuck with me,
we had this conversation. Yep.
Yeah, and what stuck with me more was the music, really. Nothing visually is sticking with me at all. I just finished seeing it.
I absolutely love how starkly contrasted all of our perspectives are. It's exactly what I was hoping for with this episode, because I am an agent of chaos, and I can't wait to fight you guys.
Let the chaos begin. But I mean, there were moments where I thought, okay, we're getting somewhere. There's a great, there's like 3 scenes that I love, and then the rest of it, for me, it's either it's good or I forgot was even there.
Okay,
the opening,
that sounds a
which
little
was
bit
awesome.
more. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I just said that sounds a little bit more realistic, because your statements are like, I hate it. It was not memorable. I think John M. Chu should die, and I don't.
Well,
think
I don't
he
like
should
him. I've never
ever.
liked John M. Chu.
Do you not like
I
Crazy
know,
Rich
I feel like
Asians?
You're bringing that opinion.
I hate Crazy Rich Asians.
I love that movie.
It's so boring.
I feel like you're bringing your previous qualms into this film, and I would like a more unbiased opinion.
Well, okay, so that's why I think I would prefer the stage musical, because I do think the story and the music here is good. Sadly, John M. Chu is getting in the way and making some really crappy camera decisions and editing choices, and getting in the way of me enjoying this movie. So it's more of the fact of how it was presented visually, and instead of musically, because it's well done. Well, Lin-Manuel Miranda, like we discussed, is very, very talented. I love the music. I love that it takes place in Washington Heights. I love the story that it's telling. It's a feel-good movie. It's a feel-good story. And I like that. And the opening, so much fun. I was getting ramped. I was getting into it. But I think an issue that many musicals have, and I think I felt a little bit with this, is that once they're singing, it's high. It's very, what is it, like, the emotion is so high and you're into it, and then, there's a plot. And things kind of get a little boring and not as emotionally exciting. But then, another musical number comes out. Awesome, fun. And back to story. Which it took a while for me to kind of get invested into.
Sebastian, have you ever seen a musical?
Yes. Some do this very well.
Not to spoil anything, but the musical that Sebastian chose as his favorite today has no talking. It's just music. So I feel like this is a really good early insight into Sebastian's musical taste.
Correct.
But we're not going to give that away yet.
Great anecdote.
But yeah, Sebastian, I mean, most of the just like story forward, just talking scenes are added here. Like the whole subplot with the I don't know what to call him, like the bank guy, the loan guy that's helping out Usnavi with the money for the bar. I don't believe any of that's in the original script for the musical, or at least it's very reduced. The whole subplot with Sonny's dad and with his immigration status, that's all new. That's all added. Sonny's dad is not a character in the musical. So I agree with you. I think you would appreciate the musical more.
Yeah, so for me, I just saw it as a movie rather than, oh, this is being adapted from something that I like. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah, and Jesse,
Mhm.
So
are you, how familiar are you with the original musical?
Um, I have not seen the stage version. I knew some of the songs, and I've seen like clips here and there of the stage version. But as far as like plot changes, I did not know that any of that was adapted for film.
Fantastic. So Jesse is
Hmm.
totally viewing this as a theater piece. Sebastian's totally viewing it as a film, and I'm just viewing it as an adaptation of something I love. This is great.
we have insanely different perspectives. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, guys, we
But
make a great team.
do
Or maybe a great debate club.
you guys have anything else to add?
Well, I feel like because we're so contrasted, we kind of have to like divide up our thoughts. Like
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
Jesse, was there anything else you wanted to say about how it worked for you as a musical? Let's be positive. Let's hear from the positive one.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. Well, okay, it's interesting because like a lot of people in my industry are going to be like really opinionated about movie musicals. I am a sucker for a feel good story, and I'm a sucker for crying in a film. And I actually sobbed at the end of this film. I thought it was so beautiful. But we also have to come at it from the perspective of the reason I don't have a ton of opinions is I wasn't head over heels in love with the stage production because I hadn't seen it. So I think I probably would have a lot more opinions if I had fallen in love with the stage version first. But I have spoken with people who were absolutely obsessed with the stage adaptation, who loved this this film. And I think the reason I said that I think John M. Chu should be directing every musical from here on forward is like the overwhelming response from the theater community is that he did the stage production justice. And again, that's seamless. The technical aspects I really enjoyed. And you have to you have to care about the storyline and it making sense and appeasing the theater crowd in order to kind of make those seamless transitions. And I feel like he put his heart into it, whereas a lot of movie musicals are directed in order just to kind of get the story out there and not do justice to like Lin-Manuel Miranda's intentions. And maybe part of that is because he was a part of the process. I don't know. But anyway, I just felt like he did it justice. But again, I'm
Mm-hmm.
speaking as from somebody who does not know the stage adaptation.
Yeah, that's completely fair.
See, I feel
I
like I
mean,
agree that John M. Chu did it justice. I think he did a good job with a lot of the musical numbers that in the original are very much reliant on the stage. Like the original musical all takes place on one street. The set doesn't change, right? He
Hmm.
expanded
Mhm.
the scale and the scope of this
Mhm.
neighborhood, and he takes 96,000 and he puts it in a community pool. I thought he did a great job with that sequence. He
Mhm.
takes the sun, I think it's called Sunrise, the Nina and Benny song, and he does this really cool like imaginative dream sequence thing where they're running up the side of the building. And he takes Vanessa's song, I don't remember the name of it unfortunately,
the
and
best number in the movie, in
the
my
one
opinion.
with the big fabric coming off the buildings.
No, 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 no.
What are
I'm
you
talking
talking about?
about at the end when they're walking up the wall.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat. It was La La Landish. It was
Yeah.
like I like the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
imagination of that. I like the imagination of the big rolls of fabric coming off the building. Um, he does a lot of really cool imaginative visual stuff with these musical numbers. My problem is simply with the screenplay. There's so much that's cut that I don't understand why it would be cut unless it was for time, and it can't be for time because they add a bunch of stuff. It's like there's in
That's
the
a really good
musical, in the
point.
original
Yeah.
musical, the major subplot is that Nina's dad does not approve of Benny as a person or as a boyfriend for his daughter. That is not in here at all. There is no conflict between Benny and Nina's
That's
father,
so odd. Hmm.
which for me made Nina and Benny's relationship really boring, and I didn't care about it
Yeah,
as the main subplot of the movie because there's no
I
conflict. She
agree.
comes home
There's
and
nothing.
he's like, "Love me," and she's like, "But it's so hard." And there's this recurring line where he's like trying to hit on her, and she goes, "Shush, let me listen to my block." And I was like, "What does that mean? That's so
Oh
I
wrong."
God, I hated
hated
And
that.
that
it's so
line.
corny. And like I thought they did the Sunrise song very well. It's like a very nice dramatic love song. But they keep talking about how they have to leave each other and how they can't be together. And I didn't get why. And in the original musical, it's
Hmm.
so crystal clear
Yeah.
that her dad doesn't approve of him because he's poor and he's uneducated and he wants her to be educated. But really, he doesn't
Right.
realize that she's dropping out of school. And it's like it all has to do with the unfair expectations that he puts on her to elevate herself above the barrio and become educated
Mm-hmm.
when she doesn't feel that that's necessary, when she doesn't feel, like he hates his own situation so much financially, and is so ashamed that he can't provide financially for her as much as he'd like to, that he wants her to like be better than he ever could be. But that's like an unfair amount of pressure to put on her when she's a teenager that wants to just be with her boyfriend, right?
Right.
And
Right.
that's really well done.
Huh.
And in the musical, her mother, this is not a spoiler for the movie. It's like in the trailers, it's from the beginning. In the movie, her mother's dead and is not a character, and they reference her sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
In the musical, she is a main character, and she's very involved in the plot between Benny and her dad. And when I heard that they were taking her out of the musical, I was like, who's going to be the one that gets them to make up? Because in the musical, that's her. Like, she's the one that gets Benny's dad, or Nina's dad, to stop being a jerk to Benny and resolves that subplot. And then they just didn't do the subplot at all. And then there's these added
Yeah.
subplots about Vanessa's like fashion
Fashion
business,
thing.
which
Yeah.
I didn't dislike. Again, I really like that whole
But it
fabric
didn't really go
imaginative sequence. I
anywhere,
thought the
did it?
dresses at the end were neat, but yeah, it was just underdeveloped.
Yeah.
Sunny's subplot is completely new. Um, the whole thing with Usnavi's dad's bar is very much in the musical. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
bit more vague, and they like add more, I think, unnecessary detail to it here with like the financial guy. Um, and I don't want to spoil it, but there's one one major plot point. I don't know how, I want to think of how I can say it that it's like if you've seen the movie you'll know what I'm talking about.
I mean, we can say skip to this
You,
point
yeah, I
if
was
you
gonna
want to.
say we can do a little
Okay,
skip
spoiler
warning.
warning. In both versions, um, Abuela wins the lottery and then dies and leaves all of the lottery money to Usnavi so that he can use
Mm-hmm.
it to move to the Dominican Republic. That happens
Hmm.
in both
Right.
versions. But in the original musical, she tells him that she won the lottery and gives him the money before she dies. And that really heavily influences all of Usnavi's decisions
Oh.
going forward.
That is a huge difference. Wow.
Yeah, because now he has this weight on his back that it's like she's dead and she entrusted me with this money and is expecting me to go to the Dominican Republic. It gives more pressure
Mm-hmm.
on him to do that, to like fulfill
Dang.
her dream for him. In the movie musical, or I'm sorry, in the movie, well, yeah, in the movie version, he makes all of these decisions not knowing that she won, and he keeps like vaguely beating around the bush about who won, and then he only finds out that she won at the very end of the
At the end.
movie when he's already on his
Mhm.
way to the Dominican Republic
Mhm.
after she's dead. And
Yeah.
it's like this twist, and it's weird because it's unfulfilling as a twist. It feels like a total Deus Ex Machina. It like
Yeah, because
kind
it's
of
like he's already going.
yeah, it kind of unjustifies his decisions, and it like takes away the extremely strong midpoint of the musical. I just don't understand why they did that. I really can't wrap my head
That's
around that
interesting.
decision.
Hmm.
Um, that's all the main differences I can think of right now.
Right.
I don't like them. I really don't like them.
No, I mean, when speaking of that, that sounds like wasted potential,
Yeah,
honestly. Yeah, that's too
I
bad.
I think the original script is pretty much perfect, and again, I recognize that it's a thing that I'm attached to, and I'm just inherently reluctant to see it change. But I honestly think it would
Yeah.
have worked just fine, completely unchanged. And John M. Chu
Mm-hmm.
still could have like moved some sequences to other parts of the neighborhood and given that imaginative visual style, and it would have worked well.
Right.
Yeah.
Sebastian, what about you? You talk.
Now that you say that, making me like it less. Honestly, I'm starting to fade. The
Same.
movie's starting to fade away.
I'm like, oh dang.
I don't want to make you guys like it less. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's not like
I
don't know, but yeah, not much to say. For me, I prefer the classic way of that movie musicals were filmed and done, where it was just kind of presented, like done in long takes, and like kind of like how La La Land did it, where it's just this is the people dancing, this is them doing it now, and watch them perform live, almost like a Broadway show, rather than all these cuts, all these angles. And to me, it kind of takes away the magic of them performing it live, learning the steps, and all doing it all in one take. Mamma Mia, Baz Luhrmann's stupid movies. This even, I hate Baz Luhrmann, but
I sometimes like. I don't think he's a very good director, but I enjoy watching his movies so much because I think it's what cocaine must feel like.
Oh, I agree. Oh, yes, especially what is it? Romeo plus Juliet.
That one's insane.
Oh my god,
I love it. It's not good.
Crack, but I don't know. I prefer that over like digital looking, quick cut. And not that every moment had quick cuts. There were plenty of moments where I thought, okay, this is good. This isn't bad. But I don't know. I visually I can't think of much. I'm only remembering the dance on the wall. I love the moment, and when Abuelita was singing, that was probably my favorite moment in the movie, because I have a great close relationship with my tita. With what?
What about the pool scene?
The Old Navy commercial? That's all it was for me. I was like, this is an Old Navy commercial.
That's good.
With Lin-Manuel Miranda jump scares.
Correct. Sure. Yes, I saw that tweet. It's
I'm stealing that joke. Hell. That's not my joke. That's from a Letterboxd review.
Yeah, but again, it's not like it pissed me off or anything. It wasn't like The Greatest Showman where it just completely. I lost the word.
Don't get into your feelings on The Greatest Showman.
I don't want to get into it.
We could do a different debate episode about Greatest Showman. I think Alex really likes that too, so we could do me and Seb versus you and Alex. That'd be fun.
Do you not like Greatest Showman either?
Amazing.
No, I hate it. It's stupid.
Oh, I wish I could high five you.
Yes, of course it's stupid. That's the point. It's just good family, clean family fun, okay?
But it's so close to being so good. Like there's missed potential, and it's like a fingertip away. And we'll do another episode. You know what? For real, that'd be fun.
It's like a mile away from being good. But but yeah, I mean, it's overall I think I enjoyed it, but now that you say that, Kolby, it's like, dang, that they had such great material to work from, and now that I'm thinking about it, not much of it I was truly invested in. The music I think was awesome. I was pumped up for most of the songs, but I don't think I'm ever going to see this again.
I'll just say this as my last negative thing, and then I'll stop being negative about In the Heights forever because I only have so much energy. The last song of In the Heights, which I'm somehow now forgetting the name of. What's the last song called? It's called Finale.
I knew it.
Shut up.
The last song, which is called Finale, is a song, and this is true, if I listen to it in any context, if I'm watching the musical, if I'm just listening to it on Spotify, I will uncontrollably cry. I don't think I've ever heard the finale song of In the Heights without crying. It hits me very hard and very personally.
Kolby, I didn't know you had these feelings about this production.
Just literally when you and I were in high school plays together, if I had a scene where I had to cry before going on stage for that scene, I would put it on Spotify backstage and listen to it.
You're kidding me.
That's true.
Nice.
That scene is like very emotional for me. And
Wow.
the movie's version of that, where he's like with the kids at the fountain, I felt
You cried.
nothing.
Nothing.
It was so empty. It was like
saw.
And I would too. I would too if I wasn't just comparing it, I'm sure. Although I didn't like the weird fake out thing where they keep showing you him in the Dominican Republic and they make you think that they're going to change the ending from the musical and then they just don't. I felt like that was pointless. But yeah, I was so disappointed.
Think of it from my perspective, who doesn't even know that he's not in the Dominican Republic, okay?
Right. As a twist,
it's like the most beautiful thing ever.
Yeah, as a twist, it's like very emotional.
We're spoiling a lot.
It's very.
We have to put warnings.
I already did. I already said spoiler warning.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do they know that means the entire podcast?
Yeah, if I say spoiler warning, it means from here on out until the end. I'll put a thing in the
until the next.
I'll put a thing in the bio of the video. But yeah, I felt nothing. I was very dissatisfied, and that was like the moment that I decided, like, it's gonna be hard for me to give this movie any kind of a good review, because whatever positive things I have to say about it, it's outweighed by the fact that that song should have made me cry, because it always has, and it just didn't this time.
Yeah, I get you.
These are some great thoughts, guys. I have much to think about. I want to rewatch it now with like a more cynical viewpoint.
My one positive thing that I want to make sure I say, because it needs credit, Olga Merediz, who plays Abuela and is the only returning cast member from the original Broadway cast, is perfect in this movie. She's so good.
Amen.
She made me cry. That made me cry.
Her song is the one part that actually made me cry and made me get emotional.
Yeah.
And she always has. She reminds me so much of my actual Cuban immigrant grandmother. It's like
me too.
Her performance in the original always makes me very emotional because it's personal for me. And if I was rating this movie solely on the accuracy of the Cuban food, it would be a 10 out of 10. I have never in my life seen Cuban ropa vieja portrayed with such care and authenticity in a movie, and I felt seen and I felt heard. We need to look up and it made me so happy.
Wow, that's awesome.
The food designer.
Food designer.
I don't know. Do they have that's a thing? Of
Probably.
Course it's a thing. Yeah.
It must be. Maybe that would fall under production design because it's a prop.
I think it's production design. It was like props and stuff. Yeah.
They did a great job, man. Oh my god, it looked exactly like my grandma's ropa vieja. It was amazing. I wanted to eat the screen.
Please do not try this at home.
Do not. Yeah.
Do it.
Should we rate it now?
Sure.
Jess, what would you rate it out of 10?
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of pressure.
Oh, we're gonna do that for all the movies. Sorry, I didn't tell you that ahead of time.
What's your rating for my film, huh?
I just told you I haven't seen it.
5 out of 10 because
From what I've seen, like a 6 or a 7.
Wow.
I'd rate the stage production like a 6.
Okay, that hurts a little bit.
But that was just the one I saw, and I saw a really weird revival version of it where they like tried to modernize it.
Wait, was that you saw it on Broadway?
The music's good.
Yeah, I saw the Broadway revival in early 2020.
Revival? So jealous.
It wasn't good.
Well, anyway,
give it a 6 out of 10.
You have to have loved the original, Kolby. Just like okay. I'm gonna give this film a 7.5. An 8. I'm gonna give it an 8. Final answer.
Sebastian.
5 or 4.
Damn.
I was gonna be a 6, but now that you mentioned that, and since I just watched it, it's fading away. Tomorrow I'm not gonna remember this. Maybe a 5 or a 4. I didn't hate it. I didn't. It wasn't like irritating, but it was. I saw potential of it being amazing, but John M. Chu got in the way.
Oh boy, John.
Kolby?
Maybe 5 or 6. I mean, I know that seems pretty high because I was really mean to it, but there's like I said, it's very well made. I just don't like the screenplay for very personal reasons. But like,
right.
I think I gave it a 6 on Letterboxd when I saw it. After talking about this, I feel like it more deserves a 5. I'm excited to see what Anthony Ramos does. He's very talented.
Yeah, I liked
And
him a
Corey
lot. He
Hawkins,
was
who
good.
played Benny, is playing Macduff later this year in a version of Macbeth directed by Joel Cohen, and that sounds rad. So everyone in this
Whoa.
movie, I think, should go on to do some cool things. I hope Melissa Barrera and Leslie Grace get some cool roles. I think Leslie Grace is
Who's
up for
Melissa
Batwoman
Barrera
right
again?
now.
Oh, they will. They will. No
Yeah,
doubt.
I like the cast. I thought John M. Chu did
Yeah,
solid,
they're good.
but I'm gonna give it a
Yeah.
5, I guess.
Go see it if you haven't.
All right, now let's move on to the umbrellas portion of this podcast episode, the
I
umbrellas
like it.
themed section.
Now, Colby,
Yes.
let's speak about your favorite movie musical. What is it?
Yes, let's. My favorite movie musical is Cats 2019, and the reason,
Woo!
um,
Oh,
if you
wow.
couldn't tell, that was sarcasm. My favorite movie musical is
I hope
the
it was.
1952 Gene Kelly film, Singin' in the Rain. I am currently sitting at my desk recording this under a very large poster of Singin' in the Rain. It's
Nice.
And me and Seb are sitting right next to him.
Right.
Yeah, we're all together.
I'm touching the poster right now as we speak.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Oh no, I ripped the poster. Colby, you need a new poster.
What the hell, dude?
I'm sorry.
I've had that for like 8 years.
Wrong.
This seems to be a theme this episode, but Singin' in the Rain is very personal to me, and I'll be upfront with the fact that I don't think it's the best movie musical ever made, but it has extreme sentimental value to me, and I'll mainly just be talking about my personal story with it, which is that
Yeah, because I saw that you lowered your rating on Letterboxd. I was like, what?
I did. My most recent viewing of it, which was the first time I'd watched it in a couple years, was when I watched it a couple days ago for this recording. I felt like I appreciated it less as a film. Like, parts of it are extremely well shot, mainly the specifically like contained theatrical sequences are like have amazing cinematography, but a lot of it is more bland looking than I remembered. And my favorite character in it, which is Kathy, played by Debbie Reynolds, is much more underdeveloped in the movie than in the stage productions of it, which is the only way I've watched it for the last couple of years. I'm not exactly sure why that is, because I don't think the script is much different in the stage production. But yeah, I still really loved it, of course. I'm now willing to admit that I don't think it's the best one ever made. But the reason it's so special to me is because when I was 6 years old, or something like that, 6 or 7, it was my grandparents' anniversary. It was some big number, probably 50. And my parents wanted to surprise them, so they found out that a theater near us was doing like a special anniversary screening of Singin' in the Rain, which was my grandpa's favorite movie when it came out in the 50s.
Love it.
So they surprised them by like taking the whole family to see it, and they were like, "Nyanya and Papa, you guys are gonna get to show all the grandkids this favorite movie of yours." And so it was me and my 3 cousins who were all under, I think, 10. And like all my aunts and uncles sitting in this little movie theater watching Singin' in the Rain. First of all, it was the first like old classic movie I had seen in a theater, and one of the first ones I had ever seen. So as a 6-year-old, I go into it being like, well, this is going to be boring. And it was probably my first movie musical. Well, other than like, there's like most kids
Disney movies
are musicals, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Musical.
Classic musical, yeah.
Yes.
Like a musical. Right.
And while all of my cousins completely fell asleep, and all of my like aunts and uncles and my grandparents did too, I was the only one in the theater that stayed awake the whole time because I was so enthralled by it. Like, I did not know that a classic movie, an old movie from before I was born, could be this exciting.
I love it.
And it was like about I didn't understand what Golden Age Hollywood was. I didn't understand what silent movies and talkies were. I didn't get it. It just like enthralled me at such a young age. I was so entranced by it. And I went home and I spent that whole week as a kid like doing Donald O'Connor impressions for my mom. Like, that might be what, like, I guess that probably is like what ignited me. Like, is that the reason I did theater when I was 6 years old? I don't know. That might be.
Maybe.
Yeah. Anyways,
that's awesome.
I loved it, and I had watched it like multiple times since then, but it had been a couple years since I last watched it when I watched it this week. And even if there's like some parts of it that I don't actually think hold up as well, it's always going to hold that incredibly special place as my heart in my
of course.
special place in my heart as the movie that like let me know that classic movies are cool and musicals are cool and old stuff is cool. And
You just felt something.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, it was probably the first theatrical experience I ever had that I like really felt
You were
something
transported.
passionate. Yeah.
That's what
That's beautiful, Kolby.
that's
Thank
what
you.
opened up future passions and future love for the rest of your life, honestly, which I think is great.
All right, now
Hey,
try to
Kolby.
beat that with your guys' first viewing stories. Good luck.
Kolby,
What's up?
you know how the finale of In the Heights like makes you sob
Mm-hmm.
fervently? This story is my new finale.
Damn. Good thing this is recorded so that you can listen to it
Thank you
whenever
for
you have
that.
to go on stage
Yeah.
and cry.
Exactly. Thank you. You've done me a service.
You're welcome. I'm surprised I haven't told you the story before because I watched you in this musical.
That you did.
I did. That would have been weird though if I was like, "Congrats, here's my origin story."
You didn't know me when you saw me in this musical.
Oh, that's true. I forgot.
This is the first thing you saw me in, right?
This
like,
is
you
our
didn't know
first
me.
interaction as human beings. I saw you in this
Our
and then
first
met you like
interaction ever was this musical.
yeah, and you
Wow.
didn't even see me in it, so it was pretty parasocial.
No. Wow. Okay, big brain words. I loved your story, Kolby. I think this is just
Yeah, it was
a
awesome.
classic, but it's a classic for a reason. It's got obviously a star-studded cast. It's fun. It's unique. It's got a fun storyline. It's got beautiful
Very
costumes.
interesting storyline too.
It's one of my favorite roles I've ever played was Lena Lamont in this musical. I think that she
I
is
remember.
comedic gold. She is so fun to play. She's classic, but she's somehow still so hilarious. So
And she received an Oscar nomination for this movie.
She did?
Yeah.
the more you know.
Good for her.
Jean Hagen. She did a great job.
Good for her. Yeah. There are three images that encapsulate Hollywood: Chaplin, Wizard of Oz, Dorothy in her shoes, and Singing in the Rain. When Gene Kelly singing in the rain, and this is the ultimate Hollywood movie. I mean, what can you say about it? It's about Hollywood. It's about an interesting time during Hollywood. There have been other movies about this story, the artist, and even Damien Chazelle is making one called Babylon, which I look forward to. But I watched this for the first time in film class in high school. Obviously I've heard of it, and it's Singing in the Rain. It's like Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind. You know what I mean? It's one of those movies that you know about. You basically have seen it, but you've never seen it. And I was, you know, when you first watch a movie, especially this, you appreciate the dance numbers, especially Donald O'Connor with Make 'Em Laugh. Holy crap, that made such an impression on me.
That is genuine comedic genius.
Yeah, it's amazing. Just the overall feel-good nature of it. It's a feel-good movie. It's a movie that literally is happiness. It makes me so happy. There's just moments where it's a musical. It's a flat-out musical where moments, like when, what's his face? Gene Kelly is speaking to the producers about the musical that he wants to make. And then it shows that very musical. And it's like 20 minutes, 30 minutes long.
It's not. I mean, I think it's like 8, but it feels like that.
But it feels like that because
like
it becomes its own, like another movie almost. Mm-hmm. And then it comes right back to that pitch meeting. And it's like, oh, yeah that's right. There's this movie playing. But I love how experimental it can be sometimes like that. There's not a single word of dialogue during those moments. I think it's gorgeously shot. I love the sets, obviously the classic Hollywood sets. I do agree in the sense of story wise, it's, I wouldn't say bland, but it's not. Besides the actual talkie version, like the actual love story of it is, it's fine. You know, it's cute. It's nothing new. But I think everything else just kind of outweighs that completely. It's perfect. I adore this movie. It's one of those movies where it's just like I mean, they don't make them like this anymore. They really don't. It's just it's it's of the era, but it's timeless at the same time. And
It's
I
also
love it.
one of those movies that has so many interesting behind the scenes facts, like Gene Kelly
Oh
having
yeah,
a 104 fever during the iconic scene, and Debbie Reynolds didn't know how to tap dance before this film, and Gene Kelly, who's
crazy.
obviously, and Donald O'Connor, who are like absolute legends in
Hmm.
all areas of dance, taught her to the point where her feet bled and she had to be carried to her trailer every night. Like it's one of those films where it's like I think they probably I'd be interested to know if they knew they were creating such magic when they were creating it because the
Right.
stakes were so high and I don't know, maybe it's more of a comment on working conditions at the time,
Yeah,
but it is,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
some horror stories from this movie.
yeah, it's incredibly interesting that a movie that is so iconic and such a pivotal um, addition to film, I guess, is
Hmm.
has so many interesting facts about it.
Yeah, and with the idea of like, oh, I wonder if they knew they were making this magic thing. I think if you look at all of Gene Kelly's work, he was always trying really hard to. Like, I don't know if
He
people
always
around
did his
him,
110% for everything.
yeah, I don't know if people around him totally got it at the time, but I feel like with this and American in Paris and his other musicals, his goal was always like, I want it to feel like magic. I want people to think, how did that happen? Like, how did they do it? I want to make it iconic. I I really think that he did have that in mind. Like, he wasn't just thinking about the film that he wanted to make individually. He wasn't just thinking about like how's it going to play with audiences. I feel like he always had in
Hmm.
mind like how is this going to age in 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. And I think that's why he as a director and star was able to give his movies
Right.
such like a iconoclast visual
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I
style.
think like another artist that has that mentality and just kind of goes forward, completely the opposite is Jackie Chan. I mean, when you watch, I mean, I'm not sure if you guys have seen Jackie Chan's movies, but
Mm,
he gives it his 150% in all of his movies, his action scenes. He's just completely, you know, he wants it all real. He wants it in a
yeah.
wide shot. He will do it until it's perfect. He will do as many takes as it gets because he says, you know, film is forever. It really is like that what you get, the final shot that you get, that final cut, that's going to be there forever. So it's got to be good. And I
Mm,
think all of the greats have that mentality. David Fincher, I know for sure, is like that. Freaking Stanley Kubrick was like that. And for Gene Kelly to be like that with his dancing, I mean, I'm not shocked at all. And it shows definitely, and not just this, but in everything that he does. It's just, it pays off. Like, sure, like we hear the horror stories of like all these takes and feet bleeding, but that's what it takes for it to be spoken about and loved to this very day, I think. And so I definitely,
That's very
I
true.
can definitely appreciate that.
it's it's also fascinating to read those stories because there is a level where it gets dangerous. Like with Kelly and Kubrick, they have kind of a bad history with like directing their female leads like very aggressively.
Yeah.
And with
Oh,
Jackie
yeah.
Chan, it's like he would literally risk his life
Oh,
for a
yeah.
10-second shot. Like in Police Story, there's that scene where he slides down the pole around all those lights
Oh,
and
my
he
God.
literally electrocuted himself.
Literally, yes. It's
he
insane. I
he
love it.
literally
Perfect.
electrocuted himself and like went to the hospital and had a super near fatal incident because they were like, don't do this
Yeah.
scene, it's way too dangerous, or like do it fake. And he was like, no, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it for real. And he just did it.
Yeah.
and
He did it. And
it
then
ended up in the movie.
when you
and it's
watch the
best scene in
movie, it ends up showing it like 6 times because it's like,
Yeah.
I almost died in this. We're going to show this 6 times.
Yeah.
Which I
But
love.
yeah, I agree with you. I think Singing in the Rain, like, you can really see the level of commitment behind it
Yeah.
from the main 4 leads. And Donald O'Connor, man, the way he jumps through those walls and like does these crazy movements, like that is a master class in physical comedy. If you're trying to be a comedian of any kind, you have to sit down and watch Donald O'Connor in this movie. You will learn everything you need to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just love old movie dialogues. Just the way they sound. It's so awesome. Hi there, Spot. How you doing? I'm doing jolly well. Uh-huh. I don't know. I love that. It's so... It's of its time. I think we mentioned that like with Mank and with King Kong. It's just... There's something about the charm of the dialect. It's so wonderful.
This is one of those movies that's like a period piece for a time that isn't that long ago from when it was made, which is funny. It came out in 1952. It's all about
the 20s.
The late 20s, which is kind of, it's weird to think that it's like that's the equivalent of now
Then
making
again,
a movie about
people now make movies about the 80s.
The 80s. Yeah.
Which they do.
I guess
Stranger Things, there's all these horror movies. They're kind of trying to harken back to a time not too long ago.
Yeah.
So it's not too different, or it's not too like it's not unheard of. Does that make sense?
Of course. For those who don't know, the plot of this movie is that Gene Kelly, who plays Don Lockwood, is a famous actor. Donald O'Connor's character Cosmo Brown is his like partner that does all the music for his movies. He's a silent film actor along with Lena Lamont, who is like his staged paparazzi fiance, but they're not actually in a relationship. And when the new invention of talkies comes around and the studio wants them to make a talkie, they run into trouble because Lena's voice is horrific. And at the same time, Don Lockwood has started dating this aspiring actress named Kathy, who has a delightful voice. And so crazy antics ensue when basically Lena's fall from fame happens as Kathy's rise into fame happens because of their voices, and it's all kind of orchestrated by Lockwood and Brown. It's fun.
Right. It's fun. It's super fun.
Yeah.
It's cute. It's great. I love that it brings in history, but like adds in newer original characters, which Quentin Tarantino did recently with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and what Damien Chazelle is going to do with Babylon, which I can't wait.
Viewing this recently, I felt like it was a much more of an influence on Tarantino than I ever realized or that I would expect, because it's like so not his style. But the boldness, the bold choice to do that like 8-minute cutaway sequence when he's talking about the movie that they're going to make that has like no dialogue, and then you just cut back to the scene that you were in 8 minutes ago.
That happens
and be like,
in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Exactly. And like in most of Tarantino's movies,
that's true.
I feel like, yeah, like even if you didn't get it directly from this, it's like that path had to be paved for that to be a thing you're like allowed to do in film.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. That's true. I like it.
For heaven's sake! Oh, I'm sick. I can't do it. That was my Lena impression.
Are you trying to do the Lena voice?
I was, but I'm sick right now. Catch me on a better day.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Yeah, this is my fault. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Ready?
What? I can try again.
Wait, I'm not ready.
Is it copyrighted?
I can't do it.
What?
You go.
What do you think I am? Dumb or something?
What's the big idea? You go. What do you think
that's good.
I am? Dumb or something?
There it is.
Perfect.
That was it.
Perfect.
That was perfect.
It took it out of me.
She just dies.
She died doing what she loved.
I'm gonna go
It's
out.
been an honor.
We have to rate Singin' in the Rain.
10 out of 10. I love it. It's perfect. I love it. It's so good. Yeah, 10 out of 10. It's a classic. Jesse?
9.5.
I like it.
I'd give it probably an 8 or 9 for actual quality, but a 12 out of 10 for sentimental value.
Oh, of course. I like it.
Seb,
Okay.
hey, buddy,
Oh, yeah.
funny coincidence. What's your
Uh-huh.
favorite movie musical? Does it also feature Umbrellas by chance?
Funny you should ask, homie. 'Cause it doesn't. Um, but now, of
Is it
course,
Cats?
my favorite movie musical is called The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. It's a French film directed by Jacques Demy from 1964. It's part of the French New Wave from the 60s. From filmmakers like Francois Truffaut, Jean-Luc Godard, and of course Jacques Demy, they were French critics, film critics, and you know what? And they saw the movies that Americans were making. They said, you know what? We can do better. Let's make the movies that we want to see. And so Jean-Luc Godard would make films, make his own gangster type of films. Francois Truffaut would make coming of age stuff, and Jacques Demy made musicals. And they were basically kind of just I know I just kind of said that it's almost like a critique on the American way of making movies, but it was almost like a love letter to the studio system of America. So the film is about, it's basically a young love story. It's a guy named Guy who works at, he's basically a mechanic, and he's in love with Genevieve, I believe is her name. Yeah, Genevieve, who's played by the gorgeous Catherine Deneuve. And they're young and they're in love. And she works at this umbrella store called the Umbrellas of Cherbourg with her mom. And the setup is that of a typical romance drama. Two young people are in love. He's poor. She's not, in a way. The mother does not approve. She sees this rich man. She prefers that man for her daughter. And you kind of know where it's going to go. Or do we? Now, we're going to get into spoilers with this. But essentially, that's not what happens. I think this film features one of, if not the, I wouldn't say darkest, but the most realistic love stories ever told in a movie. It is, you strip away any of the music of the movie, any of the gorgeous visuals, any of that, and it still works as this great, real, and raw love story about heartbreak, about youth, about all that lovely, lovely feelings. And but it's told in a way like how it would in the 50s by Gene Kelly or Stanley Donen or Vincent Minnelli, how they would it was just, the backgrounds are just bright technicolor. Like this movie, it looks so good you can taste it. You know what I mean? It looks
tastes
delicious.
like candy.
Yeah, it looks like taffy. It's incredibly gorgeous, this movie.
It's the most vibrant and colorful movie I think I've ever seen. It's like every shot is like
just
drenched
vibrant.
in a
It's
primary
a candy
color.
store.
It's
yes.
God, it's so good.
It's gorgeous. It's filmed so perfectly with smooth camera angles. Just the acting is very well done, and essentially at the end of the movie, the two don't end up together. She gets pregnant with him. He goes off to war. She waits for him, but during that time, she's influenced by her mom to marry the guy, the rich guy, and she moves on. He comes back, and he realizes that she's moved on. But as life has it, he moves on also. Many years later, they meet up together with their own kids, and that's how it ends. It ends with him having his own gas station, really his gas shop, which is what he wanted, with his family, with his kids, and her with her own kid, with her own husband, and it's genuinely one of the most devastating movies I've ever seen. It's one of the few movies I that truly captures that feeling of heartbreak. I bawl with this movie, especially having gone through heartbreak several times. It hurts to watch this movie. There's, I'm gonna stop talking. I want to know what you think of it, Kobe.
Oh, I loved it. You've been telling me to watch this movie for like literally 5 years. Since I met
Yeah,
you, you told me that you need to watch this, and I didn't watch it until last weekend in
right.
preparation for this episode. I really loved it. I was really blown away by it. Again, how gorgeous it is. But I love the simplicity of it. I was really
Mm-hmm.
surprised by that. Like I really did not expect that, both musically and story wise. Like what you said about the story, that's pretty much all there is. There's essentially like three
Yeah,
plot points. There's not a subplot.
it's a simple,
There's
simple
very
story.
little going on,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of a melodrama in that way, where like
Melodrama opera.
yes, the three acts of the movie are just dwelling on like one plot point each, and the
Mm-hmm.
characters kind of vent about how they feel about those. And that doesn't sound very appealing, but it really works in this movie somehow. And the
Right.
music is very operatic, like you said. There's kind of just one through line. Like it doesn't feel like there's individual songs. There's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of always music happening, and the characters are just kind of singing instead of talking, but they're not super concerned with rhyming. Like,
Right. Right. Okay. So every word in this movie is sung.
yeah,
Every single word. There's not like a musical number and then back to plot musical no. Every word, whether or not it rhymes, is sung. It's like, hey Kobe, how you doing? I'm doing good. How are you? Stuff like that. The waiter sings to them. The mechanics sing to them, and random people. It's that. That's what I mean. That I think this is like the ultimate movie musical, and that it's just completely high in emotion throughout. There's never a down point. I mean, there are definitely moments where things slow down a little bit, sure, but it never feels like it halts. At least the the musical aspect of it, which is the forefront of any movie musical. It should be the music, I think, and it just carries throughout the movie, and I think it can be definitely hard to get used to at first because you're like, wait, what? Every word's gonna be sung? Okay. Like you're not used to that, and being in French and subtitles. But at some point, you kind of forget, and you kind of, hopefully, you kind of fall in love with it, and you go along with it to the point where at the end you're a horrible mess. But yeah, sorry, keep going, Kobe.
no, no, you're good. By the way, if you're listening to this and you hear that it's all sung and you're getting flashbacks to the Les Miserables movie, we promise it works better here than it does there. I don't.
Way better.
I. I wish I could tell you what it is. I wish I could be like, this is what this movie does right. This is the practical reason that it works. This is how you do this kind of movie. I don't know, man. Like, I shouldn't like this movie. I don't like opera. Um, I don't really like when songs don't rhyme. I don't generally care for melodrama, or at least I'm just like not into and like experienced in the genre of melodrama. But
Right,
this
right,
movie
right.
works so well for me. I was so immersed. Part of that is because it's short. It's a very like efficiently written movie, which I like.
Yeah, yeah. It's a simple story. It's like hour and a
Hmm.
half long, I think.
And the visuals help, like you said. It's just like they're so gorgeous. If this movie didn't have subtitles, I wouldn't know what was going on, but I would still enjoy it. I would still watch it for an hour and a half and never look away from the screen. It's just, it's
Right. It's just so
mhm,
visually delicious.
scrumptious.
It's I think like to me this is gonna sound super pretentious. This is cinema at its finest,
Cinema.
I think. It's what Martin Scorsese says, it's cinema. Like if aliens were to come down and say what the hell is cinema, this is the perfect example. And I say that because this doesn't work on paper. It really doesn't. Like a movie
Right.
where everything is sung, uh, none of this works on paper. This only could work and only be experienced through the movies. Like you said, you don't typically like opera. You don't like melodramas. The thought of having everything sung, it's like what? but it works because all of these art forms are coming together to make this ultimate art form, which is a movie. And yeah, I, I think also, I think it just perfectly also just captures, like I mentioned earlier, the feeling of heartbreak, like to a T. The longing of that first love, thinking how your life is going to be, and the harsh reality of, nope, that's not what's going to happen. And having to deal with that at a young age and feeling that, holy crap. Like, I don't think there's any other movie for me that deals with it so perfectly to the point where I'm just like crying almost uncontrollably. It's insane.
I mean, I want to say it's like heartbreaking because it is, you know, they don't end up
Yeah.
together and it's very sad. But I do feel like there's a kind of bittersweetness. Um, and this obviously
Yeah.
La La Land is extremely inspired by this movie, but that's just an easy
Yeah,
comparison.
this was Damien Chazelle's main inspiration. Like, this is where I heard of the movie. Like, when I saw La La Land, I was like, what is this? This is great. And I searched up everything of what inspired this, and this was like the main thing.
Yeah, and he doesn't
And
hide
I
it.
gotta watch that movie now.
His first movie is called Guy and
And
Madeline, which is the name of two of the characters in this movie. Like,
the two exactly. This is probably his favorite movie. I'm not even
it
kidding.
must be. Um, but yeah, it's the ending has this kind of touch of bittersweetness to it. Like, I'm not super upset at the end. Like, I'm not like, oh my God,
No,
I
no,
hate
no.
this
Yeah,
ending.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's it's beautiful. It's
It's
sad, but
it's beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, it's like a
I
beautiful.
it just
Um, I don't know. I like that this movie takes a relationship that if you were to talk about this relationship in the greater like scale of both these people's lives, it
mm,
it would feel small, but
yeah.
it make it I don't know. It shows just like the beauty even in small or short-lived or unsuccessful relationships. Like
Exactly.
I feel
Yes.
like this movie is an argument that every human interaction is inherently beautiful. And
Perfect.
it just
Perfect.
romanticizes um it sounds stupid to say like romanticizes love because it's like that's what love is. It's romance, but it's like
But it
yeah,
does. I know what you're
while
saying.
also
Like,
being
it
realistic.
romanticizes that emotion, but being real.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, yeah, it's perfect. I think it's
I
perfect. It's great. It's a, or what were you
I
saying?
haven't seen any other Jacques Demy movies, but just based on this, like I can pretty confidently say that he's an all-time great director. I don't.
Yeah,
If he had only made this one thing, I would still consider him an all-time great director just from this one thing. I think it's one of
I
the most
agree.
well-directed movies I've ever seen.
Honestly, yeah, it's one of the greatest, like the best directed movies. It's so, everything is purposeful. It's so smooth. It's gorgeous. It's inspired. I, it's, I hate it, but it's cinema. It really is.
Cinema.
Like, this is why you go to the movies. You know, these are the stories that you want to see told.
Jess, did you have anything you wanted to say about Umbrellas of Cherbourg?
So I watched this film, a synopsis of this film, because I am not currently at my home, and I didn't realize it was a Blu-ray that Seb let me borrow. So I was sitting down to watch it, and I was like, Seb, you gave me a bad disc, and he was like, it's a Blu-ray, and I'm like, I'm an idiot. All the descriptive words you said about the visuals were like spot on. I think that the designers really focused on perfection. Like, I was noticing her hair looks so perfect. Everything about the film is very, very um, visually calculated, and that's really fun to watch
Hmm.
because I think that that's rare to have something so like such eye candy. It was really, really cool. That's pretty much all I have on it though,
Almost
because
literally.
I know the plot
Yeah,
and what
that's
it
fine.
looks like.
I definitely recommend you seeing it though. When you get home, please watch
I
it. I know
promise,
you'll
I
love it.
will. I will.
Okay, cool. Yeah, when you're saying about her hair, Catherine Deneuve is science fictionally gorgeous in this movie. Holy crap. She's gorgeous in this. It's insane. I love her. Have you seen her in anything else, Kobe?
No, I don't think so.
She's in that Polanski horror film Repulsion, which I think is awesome too. I know she's in other things, but those are the only two movies that I've seen her in. This and Repulsion. Gorgeous actress, great actress. But yeah, Jesse, watch it, please. It's
Oh,
good.
I
I beg.
absolutely will, especially after your commentary on it.
Awesome. Yeah, we should probably wrap this up. But Kolby, do you have anything else to say about
No,
it?
I don't. I give it a 9
No.
out of 10.
Too low. Way too low. 15 out of 10. No, 10 out of 10. It's heartbreaking. I'll say this really quick. I saw this after a huge heartbreak of mine. It wasn't my first one, but it was. We all have a defining heartbreak in our lives, and it was the defining heartbreak in my life. And yeah, I watched this at the perfect time, and it was like a warm hug. You know what I'm saying? It was the perfect movie to see after experiencing those true emotions, and to be able to kind of, even to this day, feel those emotions when I watch it. It's just a testament to the making of the movie, I think. And yeah, perfect movie. I love it. Great. Everybody
Great
should
stuff,
see it.
and I
Criterion
will rate it in
Collection,
the
boy.
comments after I finish it.
I love it.
I love it.
Okay, so we are basically nearly done. We just have, what, recommendation? Kolby, what have you been watching lately? Hurry.
Oh, okay. I recently watched the new Space Jam, and I double featured it with the original Space Jam. I watched them back to back. Was that really worth it?
Nice.
Not really. I think the first one is like pretty funny, and I think people are pretty mean to it. But does it contribute anything to society or film or art? No, duh. It's Space Jam, whatever. Space Jam 2 was trash.
Kind of.
It's like it's just a big like corporate IP mess. There was some funny jokes, but there's a scene in it where Porky Pig raps that made me want to like never talk to another human again. And also I finished Loki. Loki is really good. I was very surprised by how much I liked it. Probably like one of the best Marvel things yet. I also watched Black Widow, which was fine. And I watched Dances with Wolves for the first time, which is great. I strongly recommend that. It's a great movie. Jesse, what have you been watching lately? Do you have any recommendations?
Man, I'm gonna put me on the spot. I don't watch a lot of television and movies right now because I'm very busy. Sorry, I'm just like way too busy for like your little movies. No, I'm kidding. I recently, oddly enough, I'm trying to get through movies that people say are iconic that I just never watched because of a sheltered childhood. One of them is Gone Girl.
Oh my god.
So I watched Gone Girl for the first time. I liked it. I hate watching movies that have been hyped for 10 years, you know, and then watching them. That's just like never fair as a viewer. But I enjoyed it for sure. I think when it was released, I'm sure it was a lot more shocking and like, you know.
Right.
Better.
It was. I remember people were talking about it.
Yeah. Oh, it got people talking. But I can't think of anything else. As far as musicals go, there's some really great musicals being adapted. I don't know how great the movies will be, but great musicals being adapted into movies soon. My favorite musical of all time right now is Waitress. It is a beautiful musical that makes me sob my eyes out, like ugly cry. But yeah, support the arts, support theater, just go see a production. It's good for the mind, good for the heart, and really good for keeping art alive.
An Amateur Cast the Musical will be coming to a theater near you August of 2022.
Written by Kolby, sung by Seb.
Two-man show.
Oh no. A two-man. Oh my god, Kolby, you should do it.
It's just us like doing every episode of the podcast that we've done so far again, word for word, but we sing all of it like Umbrellas of Cherbourg.
It'll be like Bo Burnham's Inside, but with us. Netflix, acquire us. Okay, I've never seen Space Jam. I'm one of those kids that did not grow up with Space Jam. I grew up with Back in Action.
Back in Action is
So,
better.
way
So
better.
good.
Back in Action is awesome. But Space Jam, I didn't hate it or love it. I understand why people like it, but it's genuinely without the strangest movie I've ever seen. It is so weird. It is. What is that movie? Um, Colby, why do you not like The Departed? I finally watched The Departed. It was great. I loved it. It was awesome. Marty, God bless you.
You're exposing
We
me,
can
man.
talk about this another time. What is wrong with you?
It's boring.
I was watching it like, what does he not like about this? I do not get it.
We can
I don't know.
can do an episode on it one day. I don't know, man.
I look forward to this. I look forward to
I
that.
just don't get it.
And
I just don't get what's so special about it. It's so bland.
No, I don't agree. But okay. And I've been rewatching the DreamWorks movies because I've recently been really obsessed over animation, the process of it. I love it. It's a very underrated art form, I think. Sadly, people associate animation with kids, and I don't think it's always like that. But so yeah, I rewatched Prince of Egypt, which I think is the greatest animated movie of all time, in my opinion. The Kung Fu Panda movies, which are awesome. Shrek, which is great, and Shrek 2, which is fantastic. Yeah. So.
Not Boss Baby?
Oh, don't forget Boss Baby. Or Boss Baby 2. Back in Business, of course.
Is that what it's called?
I think so. I don't know. Family Business or whatever the hell. Yeah, that's what I've been watching. It's late.
Yeah, we're going to end this episode
done.
so we can go to bed. Jesse, thank you so much for having us. I just thanked you for having us on our show.
Yeah. Thank you for hanging us.
Oh.
I think, Jesse, I just accidentally handed you ownership of this podcast.
Oh, no.
I'm honored and not ready for this responsibility.
Commitment and responsibility.
Thank you for coming on. It was wonderful
You guys are great,
to
though. Thank you so much. This was so much fun, and I look forward to not doing things this late at night.
Yeah, we usually record a lot earlier.
This is my fault, sorry.
It was great. It was great. We made it work with our crazy schedules. I love you both.
Yay.
I'm so glad that we got to hang out again and talk about what we love.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully we can have you on again soon. There's a lot of good musicals coming out. You're our musical expert. You are our musical
love that.
consultant.
And I am free anytime before 10 p.m.
Okay.
Don't expose me like
Does
this.
4 a.m. work?
Hey. No comment.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Tune in to our next episode. I think we're talking about M. Night Shyamalan. He has a new movie coming out.
Oh, yeah. Next episode. Because Ode is coming out this weekend.
Sebastian, can you use your beautiful a cappella voice to give us a little outro? Because we still don't have a song.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.